Hey everyone, Chang here and welcome to my channel. Now, for today's video, we're going to focus on something a little different because guess what? As interesting as the CBEST exam math questions are, well, this is a math channel, not a CBEST exam question channel. So, we should take a little break, do something a little interesting, look at other aspects of math. For today, we're going to focus on specifically the number 4 because guess what? The number 4 is scary. It's very, it represents death, right? In a lot of cultures, we are terrified by it. We never want to touch it, get near it whatsoever, right? I don't understand why. Yeah, I assume because, I accept the fact that it does sound like death in certain languages. But other than that, it seems kind of an odd superstition. Maybe there is something more to it that I don't know of, but there it is, right? There are some cultures that worship it. There are some cultures that are despising of it, right? I guess in certain cultures, there's also the devil's number that you have to fear. That's just a little odd thing. Anyways, don't care about that, right? The idea that 4 equals death, I don't care. What is interesting about the number 4 is that recently, I found out that it represents what we call a black hole number. So, let's write this out. What do you mean by black hole number? Well, we know what a black hole is, or hopefully we do. It's this generalized concept that I'm sure a lot of us are somewhat familiar with. If not, that's entirely fine. The idea of a black hole, and of course there's scientific debate about it, but if it sucks something in, it never comes out. We never see it again. Okay, cool. So why would we call the number 4 a black hole number? Well, to my understanding, in the English language, no matter what word you choose, right, if you go through this specific iteration, you will always end up with the number 4. You can never get out of it. Now, what is this iteration? Fairly simple. Pick an English word, any word you want. And in this case, of course, it is a math channel. Should I take? No, let's pick something else other than math. What's an interesting word? Let's just say manga, right? That's what the new generation enjoy these days. The Japanese comic strips, or I mean, if you want to use comic, that's entirely fine as well. Comic. Okay, the idea of the iteration is fairly simple. You pick one English language, whatever it is, right, and then you count the number of letters, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so good. These two, doesn't matter, interchangeable. And the idea is that after you count the number of letters, you spell out that number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so we spell out 5. Okay? And afterwards, you just keep this iteration. All right, well, we look at the next word, in this case, right here, which is 5, and then we count the number of letters, and then we spell it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the next iteration would be 4. Now, after that, you can realize that you actually get kind of stuck at 4, right? The reason for that is because guess what? Well, there's 4 letters that spell 4. So if you wanted to spell this out, guess what? You're going to write 4, and then you're going to go again and again and again. Now, did I pick this specifically? Just to enjoy your audience. But of course, any word actually works, right? It could be a smaller letter. For example, let's just say, I don't know, what's a good one? Cow, right? When we were in kindergarten, we learned about the cow. Some of us drink milk. Great. Now, if we count it, guess what? The number of letters are 3. And then all of a sudden, when we count that, the number of letters are 5. And then we count that, well, hopefully we know at this point, the number letter is 4. And all of a sudden, we're back and forth again, right? And this is supposed to work with every single word in the English language. Now, I know there are some that are trying to figure out if it works in every single language that is a Latin root. I'm not entirely sure. Sounds plausible. And then there are others who are trying to explore past that, right? Now, this is super cool. I really enjoy it. And then to this day, I don't know of any word that doesn't violate this sort of principle where it ends up in 4 in the end, right? It might take 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 10 steps. Who knows, right? But the idea is that always ends up in 4. So this is an interesting result. Now, what can you do with it? Well, you can definitely annoy, prank, or I don't know, draw attention to any of your friends, families, or your enemies. Especially your enemies, place a heavy bet. Guess what? They owe you money because to my understanding, this always holds. So, let me just explain to you why I think this is the case. Now, is it a proof? No, it's not, because there's no way I can test out every single English word in the entire existence, especially since we're coming up with new words every day. But the idea is that for some reason, we always fall into a specific category. It ends up in 5, that always ends up in 4, 3, that always ends up in 4, right? Or a little more, right? Because if we end up for something like 6, guess what? It's going to fall into 3. If we end up with something like 7, right? SEVEN, and it's going to end up in 5. So we always end up in 5, 3, or 4, no matter what, because as we start counting the number of letters, right, it always falls into, I guess you could say, eventually 1 and 10 category, and the 1 and 10 category always falls into one of these categories. So it's a pretty interesting thing. I'm sure there are some people who are going into a large extent on proving this concept for everything, but I mean, you know, have a little fun. Pick a word, try to see if this validates. If you do, please, please, please put it in the comment because I would love to check it out. All right, thank you for watching. Fun, short little video. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you in the next video.